Hi everyone, this is Ferran from Ironhack, and I'm super happy to be here for the webinar Master UI Skills with AI pre-class. Today we have with us Max Kratz, UX UI Lead Structure at Ironhack. Hello Max. So before starting, I would like to walk you through the platform so you know how to interact with us during the session. So starting on the left side of the screen, you have the view box where you will be able to know more about our speaker and also to connect with him on LinkedIn. For all the questions that you may have, you can use the Q&A box, so feel free to leave there all the questions so we can answer them at the end of the session. So now on the right side of the screen, you will find Masters Your UA Skills and Product Design with AI Tools. And also in the resources box, general information about AI School by Ironhack and all the courses. And last but not least, we ask you to activate the Ironhack chat. So in the menu below, so we can engage during the session. Maybe we can start by asking you where are you connecting from. So type it in the chat. So before starting with the webinar, I want to introduce you to the AI School by Ironhack. So we are here to change the rules with the first school completely dedicated to AI. So AI School by Ironhack is designed for people in both tech and non-tech industries. So our short hands-on courses are specifically designed to take professionals like you to the next stage of your career. So let's explore what we have for you. So first of all, let's talk about what makes our courses unique. So the courses are remote live classes with an industry pro, so you can learn from where you are, wherever you are, and get answers to you in real time. There's going to be short hands-on courses after work with recorded lessons, so you will be able to upskill around your busy life. You will get 24/7 support from your teacher, classmates, and our AI chatbot. And you will have access to premium accounts for AI tools. And the methodology, learning by doing, to apply to the skills you learn to your job and work on project with real world applications. And also, you will be able to update your portfolio to highlight your new skills. And finally, you will get, and this is important, get an Ironhack certification to showcase your new skills to potential employees. So we're excited to offer a special 30% discount on our courses if you sign up now. Our next courses start the week of July 22nd, so don't miss out. And for those of you who stays until the end of the webinar, there will be a special offer. So stay tuned until the end. So now let's jump with the courses, starting with the week of July 22nd. Our first course, Master Your UI Skills with us, a product designer with AI tools, is tailored for creators like UX UI designers, product designers, graphic designers, marketers. So in the course, you will learn how to use AI tools to create customized visual assets, automate design tasks, streamline your design processes, and this course is perfectly for enhancing your creative skills with the latest AI technology. And also at the same time, we also have the course to boost your productivity with Microsoft Copilot. For August, we have a lot of different courses. So starting August 26, we have Make Complex Data Analysis Simple with AI and Acquire Python Skills to Develop AI Solutions. And also Book Smarter with AI and AI-powered content creation and storytelling. So if you want to get more information, remember you have the blue box with all the information of the Masters Your UI Skills as a Product Designer with an AI tool. And also, if you want to check other courses from AI School by Ironhack, you also have the resources box. So now, before starting with the session, I'm just going to talk about applying. So applying for our courses is really straightforward. So step number one, sign up on the course page with your email. Then what if the course page is unavailable? Nothing. Sign up for the waitlist and you will be the first to know when they go live. Step number three, enter your payment details and any discount codes you have. And 4, choose the payment method that suits best for you. After all of these, finally, we will see you in class. And remember, as we said before, stay tuned because at the end, there will be a special offer for you today. So now, with this introduction, I'm passing the mic to Max. Welcome everybody again to this webinar. We're so happy to have you with us today. Max, thank you for being also with us today. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. Quite excited to do this today. I already heard from some of my past students that you guys are showing up, so I'm seeing some of your names and lots of new names. Very excited to see all of you here. We're a good amount of people. I just wanted to go ahead and already answer the first questions. The question from the Q&A. As you know, there is an attendee chat where you can share where you're from, for example, right now. Great to see that were very nicely distributed. I'm seeing Belgium, Munich, Berlin, of course. Exactly, it's quite warm here right now. Spain. Super happy to see all of you. But there is also a Q&A question already, and that one is if this session will be recorded, and yes, it will be, and you will receive the recording afterwards. Cool. For the rest, I will start talking a little bit about how it is to have the first class with us today. It's not going to be exactly like in a class, of course, because, well, we are in a webinar, and in a class you have to get a lot of stuff out of the way. But I kind of want to give you kind of a feel of how it would be to be in this class. And we're going to basically talk about some of the structural things and some content, and then a live demo. I'm going to try and showcase some things. Then we're going to have the Q&A as mentioned. And of course, last but not least, the little surprise for all of you that were strong enough to stay until the end and attend this webinar today. So let's go ahead and talk about the course itself, right? Master your UI skills as a product designer with with AI tools, or in short, as I like to say, AI for UI makes it pretty simple. This is what we're trying to do. If you're wanting to upskill your own skill set with AI tools as a product designer, this is the perfect course for you. So, usually I, of course, always say hello. Very nice to meet you. Very great to see all of your faces. And I briefly introduce myself. I'm Max. I come from Germany, actually. I come from West Germany, a small place around Cologne. And I moved to well, if you want, I moved to the big city of Berlin already 7 years ago. And I don't know if you can call me a real Berliner just yet, but we're heading there. At this point, I would tell you a bit more about my experience usually, but I will keep it brief for the purpose of this webinar. Why am I here today? Because I teach UX UI design at Ironhack for 1.5 years. Before that, of course, I already worked for a good amount of years as a product designer. I'm now, since for a few months now, I've started freelancing on the side again, and I'm teaching kind of part-time so that I can bring together practical experience with teaching, so that I can always kind of show my students more relevant, up-to-date skills. And very recently, I have started as well to teach this course specifically on the UI tools, which is great fun because I think we've all kind of gotten a notice of this wave that came up, right? Of course, in a real course right now, I would then let you all introduce each other. I would pair you up, and then we would have to introduce each other to the rest of the team. I like to keep it a little playful, but today we're going to skip this, of course. If you want to introduce yourself a little bit more in the chat, feel very free to do so, of course. Ground rules would be discussed in class usually. There's, of course, some structural things to class, but not relevant for today. Course structure will be discussed, but we're only going to talk a little bit about it. This is basically what the course looks like. A little bit of a tease for you. In the first week, first lecture that we're going to start talking about today, we talk about AI basics and jump right into prompt engineering and prompt writing. Because this is the language that the AI speaks, right? And we have to be able to communicate it with it on all levels. Then we're going to first talk about LLMs, large language models, things like ChatGPT. Then it gets to more generative things, not generative. I mean, ChatGPT is also generative, but generative in the sense of that it creates visual output, like Wizard and other tools, or image diffusion models. We focus in on workflow specifically because the whole premise of the course basically is that we help you update your workflow, right, with the AI tools available to you. And last but not least, it's all solidified in a capstone project and a final project that I guide the students through. It's 6 weeks, part-time in the evenings. If I see your faces there in the future, I'd be very happy. Some highlights of what this course will entail is that you guys get access to some of the premium tools for the things that we use, for example, ChatGPT. There's also expert talks, so people come in and share their experience about these AI tools and similar tools into the course. There is, of course, the workflow audit. So the goal is that in the end, you have an updated stack, you have an updated workflow that will, improve your work in multiple ways. And the goal is also to kind of not just teach you individual tools, but to teach you how to deal with AI overall. In the sense that we're talking about prompt writing in the course, so that you can master all kinds of AI tools that will probably cross your path in the future. So let's jump right into the content. Enough of the fluffy stuff around. Let's get to the hard facts, right? First of all, a little bit about the approach to AI, right? Who's afraid of little old AI? Maybe feel free to share a little bit what are your worst and best predictions for AI in the chat. I'd be very interested to see if you're scared of it or if you're quite excited about it. That would be very cool to share. I think we all have different kinds of feelings about it, right? And usually this splits into kind of two polar opposites. One is the AI fear, right? The scary part of it, the people that say things like, we're done, this thing will take our jobs away, it will turn against us, oppress us, it could get even worse than this, right? And this is something that, I can totally understand that that this is a fear we're sometimes dealing with. Exactly, Maxime. Like OpenAI becoming too powerful could be an absolute, or is a very realistic fear that many people share at the moment, right? Um, exactly. And then on the other hand, we have people that are maybe a little bit too fanatic, like real fans, fanatists of AI and the tools that come around. So maybe everything will become easier. Everything will be amazing. AI will basically help us become gods over this world. Maybe we have to stop working. Honestly, I would love that if AI does everything, and it will just set us free. It will break the chains from all from all the constraints we're experiencing with labor, from maybe everything, right? Who knows? Maybe it can be a good therapist as well. I've recently seen some research of that. The truth is probably somewhere in between, right? The truth is probably that we don't have to be scared in the sense that it will not ruin everything, but it's probably also not going to fix everything. And the reason for that is because we have actual power over this, right? We're the ones that create it, we're the ones that train it, we are the ones that decide how and where it will be used. And in that sense, AI is exactly what we make it. Artificial intelligence is exactly what we make it. And what do we make it at the moment? What is it that we can take away from AI tools, specifically now in UI, but this still applies to, I think, most industries, most fields where we see AI implemented or used, right? First one, of course, efficiency, right? This is what I think everybody is starting to hear from future employers. Everyone is starting to hear this from different companies. They want AI to support efficiency and make sure that we can generate things faster, right? In UI specifically, this can be generating variations of different layouts. There are already loads of tools out there. And if you have watched Config yesterday, the keynote, you know that a lot more is ahead. Then we have data-driven decisions. Of course, AI can help us solidify the base for our research findings a lot more. The current models, the up-to-date models, the newer models, they all help us also have access to current information, not only things from 2 years ago. And we can live search the web while we use, for example, ChatGPT or Gemini. Which lets us also make sure that we can always find sources and kind of foundation for the findings of our research. And last but not least, and maybe an underrated category, the enhanced creativity. Because AI, of course, lets us create loads of different variations. That is something that I think will not surprise anybody at this point. But something that people, I think, underestimate is how we as creatives, we as designers, and even artists can benefit from something called hallucinations in AI. Hallucinations is basically when AI makes up something that is completely surreal, unrealistic, doesn't actually exist. This can be super, super dangerous when we're talking about, for example, research papers, and people are starting to write stuff and they want sources, and out of nowhere, ChatGPT creates a fake link. Not exactly what you're trying to show your professor, right? But this can also show up in imagery or in ideation processes. So any kind of both positive and good output that is very, let's say, realistic and founded, but also the weird things, the hallucinations, the things that aren't actually real, can absolutely enhance our creativity and expand our mind and views. So broken down, what is AI, right? After we've talked about our approach to it and what it can do for us, if we have to put it in a nutshell and put a definition, slap a definition on it, what we can say is artificial intelligence is intelligence demonstrated by machines, in contrast to the natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals. And you might notice that this is a kind of broad definition, right? It doesn't exactly go down in a very specific technical definition. It's quite broad. It's basically saying, well, artificial intelligence is everything that is demonstrated by machines. And part of the reason this definition is currently still this broad, by the way, there are many out there. I'm not saying this is the only. There is a huge discourse around it, right? And that is the reason this one is so broad, because actually, when we envisioned artificial intelligence a few years ago, a decade ago, 20 years ago, and so on, the way that we thought all of this would come about, the way that we thought we would see computers portray intelligence initially was quite different. We didn't exactly have in mind how it is going today. That is why the broader definitions are definitely hitting it on the head at the moment. Yes, artificial intelligence is intelligence demonstrated by machines, and it almost gets into philosophical questions. What really makes us different from those machines, right? When we create something, are we also just kind of putting in words that kind of fit, or do we have more in-depth processes there? Of course, scientifically, we can say a lot of things. But as I said, this question of intelligence and intellect definitely backs some complications, which makes this very exciting because there's a lot to still be shaped and to still be explored, a lot of tools to still find a lot out about. Now, for the purpose of UX UI designers and product designers, let's try to understand how does AI work. And I'm going to really dumb it down for you. There's no need to make it too complicated. What we need to understand is AI works with these three components basically for us, right? We have an input, then we have some magic happening, right? For now, we're just going to be dumb and call it magic. And then we have an output. Okay, the joy. You might say, this is what I came here for. I hope not. Of course not. What is that input? Let's specify it, right? Of course, that input primarily can be prompt-based. Prompts, well, you might have heard of it, right? Text-based input that will inform the machine or command the machine as to what it's supposed to do. And then that machine starts creating this strange magic that we don't quite understand as product designers, most likely. I will introduce some key concepts to you, but let's just call it magic for now. And the output, as we see, is text, graphic, diagrams, layouts, UI, can be lots of things, right? What we're trying to focus on is exactly those prompts. This is the field where we can control and command our AI, kind of make them our helpers, right? Assistants. This is where we can improve the output. We can't control the output by changing the machine. We can change the output by changing the input. That is basically what we primarily need to focus on as users of AI, right? What's also important to understand is that those databases, they're trained. They're trained They are created, and they're trained and created by people, by humans, right? Very simply put, this is a knowledge base of a lot of data, either visual or text-based. Lots of things could be here, and they then predetermine kind of what comes out in the end. To make this more practical, you might notice that ChatGPT uses certain buzzwords a lot. Maybe actually, if you guys can think of the buzzwords right now that ChatGPT loves using, I know there's always these few ones, but I'm bad at remembering them. I know that things like valuable or I don't know, like creative, or there are certain words that come up a lot that ChatGPT kind of spits out by default whenever you ask it for output, right? For example, Ali, thank you so much. In this fast-moving world, that's a great one. I've also seen this one, right? Yeah, there's just an abundance or a mix of these buzzwords, and they come from the fact that this model is trained on something specific. And that is something important to understand, right? AI never ever actually creates something completely new. It might innovatively combine things. It might recontextualize things in a surprising way. But in the end, what AI currently does not really possess, and also there is a gray area here, is the ability to completely come up with new things. As we know, creative processes, this is also not something that we do that often or that easily. It requires quite complex intelligence to do so. But this is something important to understand. In the end, what AI feeds back to us is ourselves, our own biases, our own pre-existing biases and mental models, right? Another example was image diffusion models. There are certain images that these AI models are trained on, and those models tend to sometimes reproduce similar output. I once tried to create an image with a body of water, and the shape of the water would always be the same. It was kind of a river, and the flow, no matter in which chat I kept doing it, it was always the same shape, right? And that was because the model was referring to a specific kind of a set of data about rivers and about a body of water, and kept recreating a similar shape because that is what it was trained on. Before we go into our live demo, let's talk about some key concepts. Very quick, very briefly, I want you to enjoy the practical realness of it all. So let's go over those. We have machine learning. This is something that is basically in everything at this point. These are algorithms that can learn, and they learn our patterns. They learn to know what we want, what we like, what we dislike. These are algorithms that are already used everywhere for personalization, right? We already know this one. In UI tools, this is used also in many, many ways. There's actually a debate ongoing right now, right? The AI learns based on input, right? As I said before, and is trained. And Adobe recently had a whole thing about how they're using the designers' work, the users' work to train their AI. At least that was the claim. There's a bit of a back and forth there. And Figma, now with their new AI feature, promised that we're able to opt out of that. So that is 100% a question. What's the ownership, the copyright of artwork and designs that we put out there when it comes to machine learning? AI is almost fully, entirely based on it, right? Then we have natural language processing. In short, this is what we see in chatbots, in ChatGPT, right? There's some natural language coming in, and it is able to synthesize new natural language to put that into the output. Exactly. Short, don't have to go into depth, right? Computer vision basically means the computer is able to analyze and compute visual data and also create output based on that visual input. So kind of a computer that can see. This is all kinds of AI that can analyze anything visual, an image, or our UI, and give some feedback on it. We'll see some examples of that in the demo. And then predictive analytics, also a very key concept, very common thing. There is a feature that I'm going to show you that helps us create heat maps of attention for our UI, for example, where we can see where we would assume the users to kind of focus most of their attention to based on trained data and experience from actual users, right? So predictive analytics, another key concept that is very useful for us as UX UI designers in AI right now. Now, right, that is the main takeaway I want you to get away from here, and the main thing that this course and the first lesson is built on. It's not important to really understand AI. It's nice to know some key concepts, but it's not really important to know how AI is built, how those models exactly are built, what goes in there, how the code works. Not relevant for us, right? What's relevant for us is how does AI understand us, right? So that's what we should focus on, being able to tell apart those key concepts from each other, and being able to craft those juicy, those great prompts that let us improve the output, right? As I said, it's our input that determines if the output will be useful. Nice. But what even are prompts? I already mentioned it before I go into a demo or show you a framework as well. Prompts are basically instructions and commands. We tell the AI what it ought to do for us, right? We tell the AI what to do or how to respond. It's a set of instruction, it's natural language that helps the AI to understand what we're saying, what we want, then it processes it, and then tries to put new sentences and logics together to create a nice output, right? And indeed, the image here, that is Sophia. She is a robot. I guess I can say she. And she is pretty impressive in how she can communicate with people and how she can read people's gestures and facial expressions. Just every now and then a little hint here about the world of AI and robotics for sure. Super advanced technology for sure. So let's get into the nitty-gritty and the actual hands-on work. Let's talk about a prompt writing method that I would like to introduce you to today, that I personally find to be the most coherent and most relevant for us UX UI designers. I'd like you to think of your prompts as a dough or a nice cake, something that we put together, something that consists of multiple parts that need to be mixed together, and where the balance kind of needs to work out, right? If we add too much flour, too much sugar, too much of our other ingredients, our prompt can become faulty. And sometimes all that it takes is some trial and error to get to a good dough, to a good cake, to a good prompt in this case. So just as much as a cake consists of certain parts, and you might even come from a world that is not based on metric measurements, you might then think of cakes in parts of something. So 1 part sugar, 2 parts flour, and so on, right? And in the same way, I want you to think of your prompt as something that consists of things in part. So in this case, 6 parts specifically. Let's have a look at those 6 parts. Let's get to our juicy ingredients, right? First of all, we have the task. That is straightforward. I believe that is the most obvious one. We're telling the AI what to do, right? Here we're usually leveraging action verbs to tell the AI exactly, hey, create, for example, create a user persona for me, or I don't know, create a novel about a certain subject for me, right? But this certain subject then becomes the next point. This is the context. And the mean part about context is this is basically what everything kind of hinges on. We can provide too much, we can provide too little, we can provide irrelevant context, and the AI is not great yet to decide how to balance the information that we give it. Nevertheless, context is the next part of the ingredient. This is the one that we really have to balance well so our dough doesn't go bad, right? Then we have exemplars. Examples or frameworks, things that help us guide the AI. We can tell the AI, this is what my output should look like. We can tell it, hey, this is the recipe you should base it on, or this is the kind of dough you should use. Maybe we can think of it as a sourdough starter, if you will. Maybe you were a fan of sourdough breads during COVID. It's kind of the thing that tells us, this is your seed, this is what it should look like. So this can be a specific example. You can say, this is the format of user personas I want you to use. Or you can say, please use these points and this structure. Okay. Then we have persona, and persona can appear in two different ways. One is the audience. So who are we addressing? And the other one, maybe you heard of this, this is something that usually excites people the most, is character. So we can tell the AI, this is the persona you should be taking on. This is who you are. You are a UX UI designer, and you're teaching an audience of product designers interested in AI tools. I can do that, right? This will then determine the specificity of the information that it gives, but also the approach, right? How can I then explain some concepts for product designers, right? How do I explain AI to product designers? I didn't actually create everything with AI, but no doubt, of course, I use AI sometimes to give me an overview of things and help me guide ideas, right? Then we have format. Here we talk more about the structure or presentation. Should this maybe be something structured into presentation slides? Or should this be something structured into a recipe format, right? What is the specific format that it should try and put the output into? And last but not least, tone, right? This determines how professional, friendly something might sound, or maybe we're referencing a person or a fictitious character and ask it to emulate this kind of sound, right? Nice. These are the 6 parts of a prompt that need to come together to create a good output. Some short best practices for debugging to know how you could fix prompts if they don't work before I jump right into ChatGPT. First one is chunk it up. There is a logic called chain of thought, which means you can instruct the AI to do multiple steps after each other. Chain of thought is the concept here behind from the AI side. I would just say, call it chunk it up, right? If the AI is overwhelmed with your prompt, if you sat there and crafted this really long, nice prompt that you're really proud of, but then the output doesn't quite make sense anymore, or it doesn't know anymore where to focus and what to balance, chunk it up. Make sure that you take each of the tasks into a different step and say, okay, first create this. Let it create its output. And then you say, okay, based on this output, now do that, right? Kind of chunking up the task for AI so we don't overwhelm it. Action verbs, of course, is a great tip. Use terminology that the AI will understand to act on. So analyze, discuss, summarize, outline, write. These are verbs that we will, of course, leverage a lot. And then something that I'm really a proponent of and that I will teach throughout the course is iterative testing of prompts. Now, this might sound a bit forcibly UX, but it's absolutely true that we should use our prompts, we should plan them out well, test them, iterate on them, and improve them. This is basically a big part of what I teach in the course and how to do so, because we want our prompt to be good so that the outcome and the output is good, right? The output is what, the input is what the output hinges on. This is what we can control. So of course, we won't be able to always craft the perfect prompt. We sometimes have to go in and iterate a little bit, try out a few versions and see how the output changes. Nice. With this knowledge, I would usually in the course now talk about ChatGPT Plus and how they can onboard onto it so they can use the tool for the course. Just FYI, we have that tool for you throughout the course. And this is what I'm going to go into now in my live demo. So just give me a sec so I can switch to the right screen for you to enjoy this live demo. In the meantime, feel free to share some of your questions that you might already have or some of your experiences you have had with AI already so that you won't get bored in the next few seconds. So. Just reorganizing my frames so everything works as it should. And I'm here. Wonderful. I'm gonna share my screen. And of course, I'm not gonna show what I see in the events, but this is the juicy stuff, right? We're in ChatGPT Plus. This is ChatGPT's current model as well, due to ChatGPT Plus. ChatGPT Plus, this is the most up-to-date version. I assume you all can see the screen because it tells me that you can, so I hope everything works out perfectly. Cool. So let's go ahead and let's create a user persona first. So first I want to do kind of a text-based output. Then I'm going to try to create an image. And then last but not least, I'm going to give you a little tease or a look into Wizard as well, which is the tool that we cover in the course. So first of all, I'm going to keep it simple, right? I want to show you what a difference it makes to craft a prompt with those 6 parts. So for now, I'm just going to stick with task. I'm telling AI, create a user persona for a baker, right? And then ChatGPT will start crafting something for me. This is Emma Baker. Emma Baker is a professional baker and owner of Emma's Artisan Bakes. Gives us some demographics, goals, challenges, hobbies and interests, values and motivations. Interesting. It comes up with a lot of stuff. Now, this can be very useful if your primary goal here is to be motivated, to be inspired, and to have some creative input. Let me just very shortly reorganize my screen so I can definitely see the chat so that I don't see an issue that I don't miss if you guys cannot see it. Cool. So, yes, nice. This works perfectly. Now I can see the chat and ChatGPT. Perfect. Nice. And so as we see, it comes up with a lot of stuff here. You can use a general task and general task prompt to get creative input, to be inspired. What it's not so useful for is real concrete stuff, of course, right? So usually what we're trying to look for is something a lot more concrete, something that gives us more precise output, right? So how do we add that? Of course, we use the idea of context. So in this idea, I want to see a baker, and this baker will have the ability, will want to go to a workshop that talks about AI tools for bakers, right? Let's say they're doing something similar than what you guys are doing. And I'm going to add some fluffy information. I have, of course, something a bit prepared here. I'm going to add some fluffy information here. They're young, curious, but not very tech-savvy yet. And they have great passion for the world of baking. I can just tab this now so that it uses this information to adjust the output, right? So I'm going to use this and say, this persona will be used in a workshop focus on the da-da-da-da-da. So I'm providing context. And then here we have some changes. It gives us some more information. I want to see if it changed something about some random things, but not quite yet. And then we see here, right? One of the goals is to integrate AI tools to streamline operations and innovate our baking process, right? Now we're getting things that are a lot more tailored to what we need. So far, so good. And now if I add the other things, I will not go to everything super in depth now. Passion for baking. I will give it some more information regarding exemplar, persona, format, tone, and task, and tone. So for example, highlight key characteristics, and I'm telling it which characteristics to focus on. Experience, skills, goals, challenges, and preferred tools. Then I will also ask it to structure it, mostly using bulletins. I mean, we can see it actually did that very well already. And I wanted to create a tone of this user persona that is professional, informative, and comprehensive. This will be for my colleagues. And my colleagues are primarily junior UX UI designers, right? Let's say this is what I'm aiming for. I'm adding this information. We get much more tailored output. It structures it exactly the way that I want it to do. So we have here experience, skills, goals, right? Challenges, preferred tools, a quote, a very nice emotional quote. Actually, baking is not just about mixing ingredients, it's about creating moments of joy and connection for people. I want every bite of my creations to bring a smile to everyone's face. Now, of course, I will always have the disclaimer here as a UX UI designer. Don't completely rely on AI. Use this as assistive technology. Okay. Now let's get to a maybe even more juicy part. I will ask it to create an image, a portrait image in the aspect ratio of, let's say, 1:1. I want a nice square. That shows us Emma. I think that was her name, right? I think so. Yeah, Emma Baker. And then you can see, thanks to DALL-E, that is integrated into ChatGPT, we can now live in ChatGPT see the creation of an image. And this is Emma. This is a portrait image of Emma. And we could now use this for our user persona if we would like. I see some cool ideas here. Data analysis for that you use ChatGPT for. I also see brainstorming and ideation. I think that's a great one because, as I said, right, this is just an inspiration. So often it lets us find out the weirdest and quirkiest things. So it's quite good when it comes to specifically ideation. I won't go into depth now with the next prompt, but basically my goal here is to create an image, a visually engaging and detailed illustration representing the integration of AI in baking, right? So this is a task, I'm providing context. The image should include elements such as AI-driven baking machines, smart ingredient dispensers, and a modern kitchen setup. It should appeal to professional bakers and baking enthusiasts, so the audience. The tone should be innovative, delicious, dynamic, and suitable for a workshop presentation to showcase the synergy between AI tools and baking. Nice. So let's see what it comes up with, right? This has all the parts of my dough. It has a concise formulation, and it should create a nice visually engaging illustration. Nice. So I see here, indeed, some machines, some robots, a kitchen and a baker. I see some pastries, right? An AI-driven kitchen. Now, little disclaimer here that I noticed myself now. If I was to do this in another chat now, it might not use the same aspect ratio. Important to understand is if you work in the same chat, they will often remember information that you have provided prior and will not question it. Since I didn't specify the aspect ratio, it just went with the one that it used before. I can, of course, now ask it to use an aspect ratio of 16:9. Maybe I want to put it on a nice presentation slide. Then it will recreate this image in a different aspect ratio, or it will use this prompt for a different aspect ratio, and will come up with a new illustration in this ratio. What we could now do is use more prompting methods that you can learn in our course. For example, negative prompting, to then deduct some things from an image. I'm not going to go into depth to this. I'm afraid for this, you have to come to the course. But there are many more methods and ways to improve a prompt and to adjust it for your liking so that you will have better and better prompts. Now, before we get to our Q&A, I want to show one last thing, not too long. I want to showcase Wizard to you a little bit. This is not something that I usually show in the first class. This is a little extra that I wanted to share with you today. This is something we cover in class. You can actually see many of the projects of our students right here in a little thumbnail view. But what I wanted to show you is how powerful this tool can be. Actually, this is something that will also come to Figma, which as soon as this is available for everybody, I'm 100% going to cover that in the course, how you can use the AI tools in Figma as well. We already look at plugins, but then we're going to look at Figma AI itself. For Wizard, let's have a look at this wonderful tool. You can do actually a lot of things with Wizard. I should disclaim this. What you can do, for example, is use a, we can quickly try and do this. I'm sure I have some random mock-up somewhere that I can quickly show to you guys. Let me just find it fast. Cheap. Is this one? No, this is not the one I'm looking for. So let me just, come on. Maybe I can find it in a second. It is not showing it to me in a wonderful order at the moment, but I think here we are. Is that the one that I want to use? Well, no, I'm not quite sure. No, that's not the one. Basically, the tool that it does here, I will skip it for now. It's super cool. You can take wireframes and sketches and then turn them into a real mock-up in Wizard. Let's focus on what I actually wanted to do, which is this wonderful tool here, where you can have AutoDesigner create something from scratch. And it already comes with some cool examples. A dating app for people with magical powers sounds pretty cool. But I want to try some other things. Social media app for gamers, dating app for people with magic powers, an invoice tracker app for someone addicted to chocolate, not a bad idea. A relaxation and meditation app for stressed UX designers. Guys, I think this is the one. And then I can define the style. I can do this with a prompt, with a screenshot. I can provide a URL for a company, for example, if you want it to be styled like your company. I will use a prompt here. And it comes again with an example. I will shuffle a little bit so that it's not too easily prepared. Let's say Facebook with purple, no, not quite. Insurance company, green and minimalist. This feels a bit more chill and nice, right? We want something that is keeping us calm. So let's generate a project. I have to find the project I want, and I have to find the stylistic output. So here we see the output generated. While we're talking, I will just tease some of the other features that Wizard actually has, which are things like review. So you can ask it to review the UI that it created. You can also ask it to review your UI. You can take things from Figma to Wizard, for example. And I will showcase that to you right now, actually. So just so we see, we have here a prototype. It's already clickable and it's working. We can preview it up here and see the actual prototype. And we also see some optional design proposals. So this is a nice user flow. We see here a logon screen. We see a splash page. We see the home screen, a search, product details, media player, profile. So it gives us some interesting pages for sure, something to work with, right? Now, to make the magic work, you can see, by the way, it's already connected with lots of prototyping tools. We can use this wonderful little thing here that lets us generate feedback for a page. And what I will also show you in a second, the focus predictor. Now, here's what these basic AI concepts that I introduced earlier come in handy for. Feedback uses natural language processing, of course, and focus predictor will be using computer vision, for example. So let's see. Here's our feedback. What works great and what needs improvement. It gives us even a nice glows and grows framework, so we don't feel too insulted. And it gives us information on, it looks like the information on the profile is pretty clear, but there seems to be a lack in contrast in navigation icons. Okay, right, I can now use this and improve from here. And we have similar features in Figma, by the way, as well, that I introduced in the course as well. And now, last thing that I want to show you is here, this focus predictor. This uses computer vision to analyze a screen and to then predict where people will focus mostly on. Some other features you have in Wizard and soon also in Figma is that you can select certain sections of a design, and then based on a text prompt, it will either add something, deduct something, or recreate something from scratch for the same section. So you can see here a heat map like we're used to from UI analyses, and it gives us a nice idea on what people are most likely to focus on. So we see your Zen space, they look here a bit, then they skip the headline, they look over these things a little bit, and primarily they go back to the central menu item again, which gives us a hint that if we want this headline to be more prominent, we might want to change this now. We can also download this so that we can present a nice analysis to our stakeholders. Nice. This is the last thing that I wanted to show to you at the moment. So we would move, I believe, to questions. And then afterwards, we'll show you the promised little gift that we have for you. Are there any questions you guys have? Yeah, if you want to jump in here.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just so remember, you can use the Q&A box, so drop the questions there. Right now I'm checking the chat.
There's some actually.
Yes. Okay. So let's start with the chat. Andre is asking, do you think UI Zard is replacing Figma?
That's a great question. I also thought so for a good second. I thought that they have a good shot at it. After watching yesterday's keynote and knowing what Figma will make available, first in the free version and then in their pro version, I honestly don't think so anymore, because it will basically have the same features, but actually it seems like the output that Figma AI will be able to create is a lot more refined and a lot more much better quality. I was really shocked when I saw the keynote yesterday. From all the tools that I'm aware of and that I have learned and that I know and that I teach, that would far exceed the capabilities of that. Plus, of course, we designers will love to work in Figma over having to learn a new tool. And UiZard is really, or Wizard is really focused on this specific thing, on creating something from a sketch or from a prompt. It doesn't have very in-depth developer tools, or there are some things, but it doesn't quite reach the standard. I believe, unfortunately, Wizard, at least at the moment, doesn't have the upper hand in this game.
Talking about this subject, Daniel is asking, what other tools you use to generate UI designs next to UiZard?
There's lots of them, actually. I think Wizard is the one that is kind of the most complete at the moment, just before we will encounter Figma AI soon. I think as soon as that happens, I will cover that 100%. There's a lot of plugins in Figma that I really recommend. There's wireframe creators, there's color palette creators. They work based on prompts, but also things like Attention Insight, which is a plugin that lets you scan the screens just like we just saw before for focus prediction. Other tools to create UI can actually even be image diffusion models. There's a lot of them that lets you get inspired. So you can ask ChatGPT / DALL-E or Midjourney or what's the other one? Leonardo AI to create UI for you. Absolutely possible. And of course, lots of mock imagery, lots of mock content that we can use for our hi-fis. That is, I think, a huge use case that we will see more of as well.
Okay, Daria is asking, how can I use AI tools to boost my productivity while ensuring that company internal data is not leaked?
That is a great question. And I will disclaim here that I'm not a full expert on the legal aspects yet. I am also diving into it because I think that's a super relevant spectrum of what we need to look at as designers, for sure. It really depends on the terms and conditions of the service that you're using. So at the moment, there is not a clear regulation here. As we've talked about before, right? AI is trained, and that requires AI to fall back on information and generated content. And that generated content might very well be what you create for a company, exactly. The only way to completely avoid that right now is to read the terms and conditions, make sure that they don't do this, or create with AI things that are merely similar to your company's demands, right? Create kind of a fake company that is not really using the exact same information, and then transfer that into your company. That is kind of a manual trick for now. I think we will have clarity within the next few months when it comes to data protection for these areas, for sure. But right now, from all that I'm hearing, it's primarily dependent on the terms and conditions of each service.
Okay, now with Samantha asking if do you recommend any AI tool for design systems?
Ooh, I have not used AI for design systems specifically yet. I'm trying to think. I mean, I know of a few that, for example, create really neat color palette systems that you can then also, right now, I'm mostly thinking of plugins in Figma, for example. They can create really cool color palettes that you can immediately turn into variables and I believe into color styles. Unfortunately, I do not remember the name. I will try to find it afterwards for you. Um, Other than that, I'm not aware right now because I haven't worked with design systems in a while. I think that's a great question. I would also um, try to find that for you afterwards.
Anna is also asking how AI can help creating design system, libraries, specs for devs.
Right. I mean, what I can say actually is that Figma AI, what they've been teasing, will go in a similar direction. I mean, the thing that they have showed us in already last year, they teased us with this AI feature that will let you create many states of the same button, so that you don't have to consider all the button states anymore. So this will definitely help with creating a design system and creating all the different states. And as I said, there is review features that help you review certain components. I think those can really help to improve things. When it comes to like structuring a design system, I can't think of a good use case right now. But actually, also another thing that Figma has teased yesterday is that they're going to let you rename all your layers wonderfully. So they will have an AI that basically renames all the layers. And I think that when it comes to component creation, this might be relevant. Like you could first create your first version of it without creating components, then have all the layers renamed, and then you can create a component system from there. I could see that being useful. Creating those full design systems, I'm not sure yet. But as I said, button states, components, component variants, that's definitely something we're going to see soon.
Lucy is asking, we talked about AI art copywriting. Do you think AI generated UI design copyright will become a problem in the future?
Awesome question. I actually have a friend, and this friend found himself on the list. So how do I explain this? Basically, a list was leaked where I believe it was Midjourney trains a list of artwork that Midjourney trained its model on. So it was revealed which artists were used and which artworks of these artists were used to train this model. And those artists are very split in their response. Some of those artists say, well, I don't really care because we all build on each other, we're all referencing each other all the time. I don't think I should own whatever the AI does with it. And other people say very clearly, other artists have said very clearly, no. We are co-creators, co-authors of these images. I believe from what I've heard, again, I'm not a legal expert here, that these court cases are ongoing, and I think they're still determining this. However, the general rule of how this works right now and is already regulated is that ownership, right? The idea belongs to the artist and belongs to the designer. However, the copyright, the right to using this, to reproducing and duplicating it, this 100% depends on the terms and conditions of each model. And most of them at the moment restrict you to use one-to-one exactly what they put out. Then the trick becomes to know how to use this as a base for your own creation and adjust the content from there, right? So might this be a problem in the future? Absolutely. I think we're more moving into a direction where we will have fair use concepts for these outputs.
Okay, I see some questions about the program. For example, Patricia is asking about some specific information, when it is, how does it cost. You can all use the email address that Ellie shared in the chat, or also use the blue box there. You will be able to find more information about starting dates, prices, and financing options. And also, Patricia is asking, but this is a question for you. Is this class also for beginners too?
If you say beginners as in no UI knowledge at all, I think that would be a bit tricky. It would be good if you are a UI and UX designer or product designer to a degree. Of course, if we're talking about a beginner in this field and you're just starting to learn about this, usually that works. As long as you're familiar with basic UI concepts and product design concepts, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Great. And also another question related to the course from Neda. Do you also teach AI design tools for the UI part, aside from ChatGPT?
For the UI part, besides ChatGPT, yes, for example, Wizard, right, the one that I've shown you, is one that we use as soon as Figma launches. The Figma AI will 100% cover that as well. Multiple plugins that I've mentioned, and we go over image diffusion models. Well, DALL-E and ChatGPT, but also Midjourney and Leonardo we will demo.
Okay. I'm just checking the chat if we have more questions.
I just saw one, if I may maybe answer this one, because it's actually from someone that I know, from a past student of mine, that has recently graduated, and it's about the fear of that AI will take our job, basically, right? Like feeling like all of this. Exactly. Yeah. I just, if I may take this one, I'm so sorry.
Sure.
Just to end this on a positive note, I don't think AI will finish us. I don't think AI will get rid of all of our jobs. Rather, it lets us focus on the concepts. It lets us focus on the UX rather than the nitty gritty of the UI, right? It's able to create all these UIs, but it's not necessarily able to have the concepts, the ideas, all the big product strategy lines. That is still going to be in our hands, and I think that is something we can still leverage and empower ourselves in. So no worries, we're still relevant. We're just reshifting our focus more to concept UX and to the bigger questions.
Okay, so I think time's up, but before, I think we have Ellie with us.
Yep, right here.
Okay.
So I would just wanted to pop in to tell you guys about the special offer that we have just for you as a thank you for joining us for this free class. If you want to spend more time with the lovely Max and learn all about how to master UI as a product designer or as a UX UI designer with AI tools, you can now get a 40% discount. So we're currently already running a 30% discount, but you get an extra 10% on top of that as a thank you for joining us today and for asking such great questions, getting involved in the conversation around AI. Now, this coupon does only last until Wednesday, the 3rd of July. So that's next Wednesday. So you have the weekend to mull it over and think about it. You have Monday and Tuesday to realize it's a phenomenal idea. And then you have Wednesday to apply. So plenty of time, but also not all the time in the world. So don't miss out. Just a little recap of what you get with this course. So most importantly, you get a live instructor. If you guys are anything like me, you've got a whole bunch of those free on-demand short courses that you started and then never finished. That's not going to happen around here. You have an actual live teacher, Max, to not only teach you the content, but answer any of your questions and just generally make it a wonderful time. The course is a little bit more hands-on than what we've done here. Obviously, this is just a taster. It's a little demonstration. The course is project-based, which means that you'll be learning real skills through hands-on tasks, hands-on projects. And we finish the course with a capstone project. So you'll have something to show off to potential employers or to your boss or anyone else that you want to impress with your amazing new UI skills. It's a short course, but we do know that, of course, life happens and sometimes you're not going to be able to attend the classes. That's why everything is recorded so you can catch up really easily. And we've also made sure that the schedule is made to fit the busy student or the busy working professional. So everything is run after work so you can balance education and work that pays very, very easily. And finally, we do also have financing options available. So as well as the discount today, depending on your location, there are a whole range of financing options, everything from paying in installments just to make it a little bit easier, to some government initiatives, which mean you may even get the course completely for free. So please do join us. We would absolutely love to see you in class. And that's goodbye from us. Thank you so much for joining us. And Max, thank you for a phenomenal session. Okay, see you all in class, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.